Welcome to this week's episode of Forgiving the Girl Inside. And today's healing journey, we have Jeni, who who healed from bitter victim to warrior woman. She is an intuitive empath that has successfully guided women through past trauma, eliminates toxicity in all areas of life to live in the present. She uses personal human design to uncover what is deep in your subconscious and bring it to light. By living your authentic design, it allows you to live a life full of bliss. Bliss, I love that word. That's a good one word to have. Welcome, Jeni. Can you tell us some more about yourself?
Hey there. So my name is Jeni. I am married to an amazing man. We just got married in August. I have 3 kiddos, and I'm self-employed. Been on this journey for 6 years full time, and I live in Iowa, a little small town in Iowa.
Oh, Iowa. Okay. Well, you're the first person I've ever met in Iowa. That's awesome. How's the weather there now?
It's actually warm. It is about 35.
Okay. Yeah, that's the heat wave.
Yes.
It's a heat wave for this time of year. That's awesome. So tell us about your healing journey going from bitter victim to warrior woman.
So my journey really began when I was about 4 years old. I am now 38, so it has been my entire life. But I didn't really dive into it until after my divorce. I was divorced from my kid's dad. And I really dove into my past and past traumas, because how I was raised, we were professionals at just throwing everything under the rug and moving on and not really addressing anything. And so when we do that, we hold everything in our bodies. Different areas of our bodies hold energy. So our livers are full of anger, and our lungs are full of grief. So my first thing was dealing with abandonment. My mom left my brothers and I when I was 4. She actually then passed away in an auto accident when I was 5. So I've been through abandonment of all sorts throughout my life. I grew up really not feeling worthy because, in my mind it was, well, if my mom could leave, then why would anybody stay? So I've had a variety of different traumas that I've started focusing on. I thought that I had healed and everything was fine until my divorce, and then my eyes were opened.
Yeah, abandonment is a huge. It's a lot of women out there suffer from abandonment, and I've heard several stories about women losing their moms at a young age, and that's really tough because your mom is someone that you depend on to nurture and grow you and show you how to be a mom and how to be a good wife, and you learn all the things, and then to be abandoned by the first marriage, that's just really tough. When did you realize that you needed to heal from that, or just to begin healing from that sense of abandonment?
So I really learned that, so anybody who knows me knows that I'm a very strong woman. I'm very independent, but I quickly realized that being over independent is actually a trauma response. So I developed many codependent relationships where I thought that I needed to take charge, do all. I was a professional enabler. So when I dug into all of that, me thinking that I had to do everything for everybody in my relationships and my friendships and my job, I realized that it all boiled down to attachment and abandonment, and really focusing on allowing people to step forward and for me to learn how to receive help and assistance.
Mhm.
So that alone was and still is, that's what I'm working on currently, because we're all still healing. We'll always be healing and growing. So
Brilliant.
that's been the biggest trial right now. And they always say that true good relationships bring up your past demons, the things that aren't healed yet. And so my current marriage, that is in fact true. Like, I'm able to open up, be me, and trust. And then the mind that starts going, what does he want? What, like, so it's super easy to revert back to victim.
Mhm.
And so that's what I've been working on right now, is receiving, being able to receive.
Okay. So what is the one thing that helped you make that pivot? One thing that you did? You're involved with Young Living, you do coaching, energy healing. What was the one modality that helped you hit your first pivot on your healing journey?
The very first thing were 3 essential oils. My upline, or my, whatever word we want to use,
Mhm.
um, I was not full-time into oils yet. I was literally in my bed, didn't even want to get up. Um, I had my 2 kids. Now I have 3. I have a bonus son. But I had my 2 kids. I was a single mom. I couldn't stay in bed. I had to work. I had to feed my children. I had to love my children. Um, I was depressed and anxious, and 3 oils that I had to make myself. And sorry about my dogs, are upstairs. The 3 oils were release. So the way I used them,
Mhm.
I used acceptance on my ear. So we have so many nerves and vitaplex points in our ear. So I'd use acceptance on my ear, and I would accept, what I had been through. Then I would use forgiveness around my navel, and I would forgive myself, forgive others. Forgiveness has been huge for me. And then I would use release over my liver, which is on your right flank, like your right hip area. And I would release it. So I would accept, what I've been through, I forgive, and I release. And I would use those oils 3 times a day. And I was able to live, able to get out of bed.
That's awesome. I'm going to try that. I know forgiveness is a huge thing for me. It's what I'm working on every single day because it is a healing journey. And you don't ever forget what you've been through. And it's so important to be reminded that we need to forgive in order to move forward. So I use all 3 of those oils, but I just put them on my wrist. I didn't realize the points. I mean, I know about the reflexology, but I don't really. That's awesome. So thank you for that tip.
Yeah.
I love
Yeah.
that.
And the thing with forgiveness is, the biggest thing, the first step is always forgiving yourself for
Mhm.
your reaction, forgiving yourself for things that you may have said. When emotions are running high, it's very easy to just spout off
Mhm.
right what comes to the forefront. But so it's a that alone is a journey, trying to not necessarily bite your tongue, but to filter and to understand. You don't know what the other person's feeling. You'll never know. And to have compassion before speaking.
Mhm. Yeah, I love those tips. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
So tell us about your offer. What do you do? The energy healing, the coaching, how
Yeah.
does that work?
So I work with human design. I'm not sure if you're familiar with human design.
Nope.
So we based on your location, time, and date of birth, we have a soul blueprint. And the subconscious is actually implanted in us. Sounds very weird. Implanted in us 3 months before we ever even arrived on this earth. So while our mamas were pregnant with us, our subconscious was forming. And then the moment that we were born, it doesn't matter if it was a natural or C-section, it doesn't matter anything about the birth, just when you came, your first breath on this planet. That is where your conscious comes from, your conscious thinking. So digging into your subconscious, 95% of what we do every single day is subconscious. We breathe. We don't consciously, well, sometimes I do. Sometimes I'm like, all right, Jeni, breathe. Or my Apple Watch will tell me breathe. And I'm like, breathe. But really diving into that human design to see, to help understand the triggers, to help understand why we are the way we are. And as an empath, so an empath is somebody who can, there's 4 different types, but an empath is somebody who can see other people's distress. Oftentimes we take it on as our own. So learning really why and how I'm an empath came from my human design chart, and then learning the plus side of all of our actions. So I use everybody's human design chart to figure out I don't look at them as negatives, but things that you'd like to improve. And I look at the things that you're already good at, and then we mash them together to create a plan to move you through living in alignment and really finding your bliss.
Wow, that's cool. How long does it take to go through a session?
They're 60 to 75 minutes. Beforehand, like when you contact me to book a session, they're just a personalized human design reading. I do have a course that walks you through the basics. It's a very inexpensive course, and then you get put into a blissful living group. And in that group, I cover more things in depth. But a human design personal reading with me is 60 to 75 minutes. And before the call, you just send me your time of birth, your date, and the location. And I go in and do the things, and then we meet for our call. And I record it so I can send it to you after the fact. And you can reference back at any time. And then once you do get a reading from me, you're also added to that group. So you can get the benefits of the people that have taken the course and access to me and my woo-woo ways.
Well, that's awesome. Well, thank you so much for sharing that. And we'll definitely post the links to the course and the contact information to Jeni's groups. And, you can reach out to her directly. I am totally intrigued. I have to think about this human design thing. And something definitely I've been interested in. And it's funny because the last 3 women who have come on have talked about some kind of energy healing. So something to explore. Thank you so much for joining us on on today's episode of Forgiving the Girl Inside. Stay tuned for next week's episode. And if you haven't already, be sure to hit the subscribe button and tap the bell to be notified of the next video. Have an amazing day.
Thank you for having me.